Welcome, everyone. Dr. Anthony, Criniti IV here, also known as Dr. Finance, and you're on the Dr. Finance Live podcast. We got an amazing guest today. We got Julian Brittano here, folks. Julian was was a great star on the show Greenleaf with Oprah Winfrey. He's an accomplished actor and celebrity of so many different things, and a rap artist as well. So, with that said, I want to give a warm welcome to Julian Brittano. Welcome, Julian. How are you, sir?
Thanks, Dr. Finance. I'm doing well. Appreciate you much. It's a great day, and it's a great day to have some good conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you, Julian. Honored to have you here, sir. All right. So, Julian, we're going to get started. First thing I'd like to do is, and I probably gave you a horrible bio. That's why I like to defer to the guest. If you can give us a quick 30-second, just snapshot of yourself, and then we're going to get into your story right after.
Sure, no problem. Now, you did just fine. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I'm an actor, on-screen actor, both film and television shows. Also a recording artist, producer, writer, do some directing. We're also, my wife and I, we have a couple of businesses as entrepreneurs, one being real estate and development, one being construction, business development as a whole. We work with different localities, different markets to help develop some good ideas and some good strategies for the local communities to partake in some of our things inside with film production.
That's great. Thank you, Julian. And we're going to cover a lot of these things in detail in a little bit. But first, I wanted to get to your story. Now, folks, I met Julian on Clubhouse through my my co-host's room, actually, Diamond Diva, who was on this podcast many months ago. So if I encourage you to check out Diamond Diva's interview as well, an incredible woman. She hosts, if you go to Clubhouse, it's the Abundance Mastermind. And that's where her club will be found. But Julian, Julian, did you come through my club first or her club? I know I've seen you in both of them, but Diamond's the one who actually told me, hey, that's Julian Brittano. I don't remember. You might have actually popped in my club. I don't remember.
I think I can't really recall myself. I just look for different titles, and sometimes I'll recognize a few names that I've heard speak before. So it might have been your room because I might have saw Diamond Diva and maybe one other person. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think, because she's the one who said, I remember, that's right. She said, bring Julian up. He's a great guy. And I looked at your bio. That's right. I forgot about that. But yeah, you've been in both of our clubs so far, and it was an honor to meet you. I've heard your story. Last week you did a great share in Diamond's room. So let's start with the basics. Where are you from originally?
I'm from Newark, New Jersey.
Oh, you're from North Jersey. Oh, wow. Because I detected a New York accent there. I'm from Philadelphia, so I know it's most people. The only people that can really tell Philly and New York accents are people from Philly or New York.
Right.
Otherwise, they lump us together.
Exactly. Everything's New York.
Yeah, it's New York. Yeah, we just get dismissed.
Yeah, I'm from Newark. I'm from Newark, New Jersey. Whatever, fine. That's how you have to associate it. No problem. No issues.
Yeah, it's funny. Even North New Jersey people, it's a good point, get lumped in with New York. It's like when you look on the map, right? If you zoom out of the map, you get DC and you get New York, and everything in between gets skipped. Like Philadelphia's not even on the map. It's the 5th largest city in the country.
I don't know why it's such a great city, I don't know.
That's funny.
But it's all good though.
Yeah. I actually like North Jersey a lot. What part are you from? Because I've been visiting a lot of areas over there the past few months, because I got a few buddies up there.
Essex and Union County. So Newark is where I was born. Grew up some, and then I lived in other local cities within a 15-minute drive, 20-minute drive. So it's all pretty much the same area a little bit.
Yeah. You ever go up to Hoboken, Edgewater, all those spots?
Yeah. Those are good. Not a lot of good hangout spots. Nice little lounges. A lot of outdoor events in the summertime, spring and summer. The cultural things going on up there. Plus, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump right over to the city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm finding. seems to be a great spot about that. Not that I'm trying to market that area, but
Right.
I do like it. I think it's cool. So you grew up in Newark, and what was it like growing up there?
At that time, it was interesting. You know, you're talking about 80s, early 90s. So there's a lot of things, a lot of transitioning that was taking place. So, uh, in certain communities, you know, that we grow up in, sometimes you got challenges like most, but you still got a communal component there. Right? There may have been some dysfunction, and we're just gonna call it what it is. And missed opportunities. There was still a sense of family to a degree within the neighborhoods and the communities. And I believe that, you know, over time, over years, it kind of just evolved into sectors of entrepreneurship, which I believe is a very good thing. I really believe in entrepreneurship. So that's what it was like for me. You know, I played sports and whatnot as well: football, basketball, wrestling, track, you name it. I mean, that's sort of your rites of passage.
Wow, how long did you wrestle for?
3 years.
3 years, really? Wow. Yeah, I did the same thing in high school, 4 years.
Okay.
Got me on my start.
I got me some medals.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, growing up in the environments both of us did, you had to learn how to do that stuff. So
yeah, that was part of it.
So what was your teenage years like? I guess pre-college.
All right. So, and I believe I preface it with this.
Yeah. Tell what you like, by the way, Julian. You know, this is part of the origin story. And
no, it's cool. I need, you know, it's good for people to know a little something. So, well, I bounced. I was a bouncer.
Mm-hmm.
I bounced at a gentleman's club when I was 15.
Wow.
Yeah, my mom worked nights. And so, you know, I wanted some extra money. So I went to the gentleman's club. And I was already, at that time, I was 6'2", 230 pounds, you know.
15 years old?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I pretty much, I mean, you know, I got more grades and stuff coming in now, obviously. But I pretty much looked almost the same, you know, at that time. So they didn't really know. They just big guys. Now, you know, it was crazy. Now that I sit back and think about it, like, because as being a club owner, bouncer, bartender, you know, entire nightlife gambit, I'm like, how in the world did people let a 15-year-old in, not just in a gentleman's club, but actually to work as a bouncer? Like,
that was my question for you too. How did you?
I'm a go-getter, and I just went for it like I normally do. So I started out young, you know. I did that for a little bit, and then I actually ended up moving to Virginia for a year, for my junior year. And I had it was an opportunity to play football for another, you know, school. You know, I was sort of like, I was a traveler, you know. Growing up, we lived in a lot of different cities, a lot of different areas. You know, we moved a lot. I went to 3 elementary schools, 3 middle schools, 5 high schools. Never got left back. Just moving, just constantly moving. So, and that can be dysfunctional in itself because you never really learn stability. However, if you utilize the flip side of that, which is you definitely learn how to adapt quickly to new environments and people. So in communities, cultures, things like that. So I lived in Virginia my junior year, and I actually had a townhouse. And my mom was still up in New Jersey. And I was down in Virginia, staying in a townhouse, pretty much on my own. You know, I had, you know, a couple aunts that was local that would check in and whatnot, but, you know, so that was pretty interesting just in itself. I continued the growth and development of my hospitality career by hosting a lot of parties at the house, at the time, at the townhouse and everything. And so, and then I was pretty good in football. And so, that went along with my help build, I guess, my local popularity in that area, the Hampton, Virginia area.
How old were you then?
16.
16, okay.
And then, of course, I'll say it, my grades suffered. I went to school every day. My attendance was perfect. But, it was just, and it was really on me. I had a good system built around me. I just didn't take advantage of it the right way. But I ended up making it up at the end of the year. I finished strong back up in Jersey and got all A's in the fourth quarter and then all A's on my final exam. My mom was like, "You could have did this all year." I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
I wasn't ready yet.
I didn't want to get left back, so I had to do what I had to do.
Yeah.
So it was cool. So I went back up to Jersey. Then my senior year, I ended up in Elizabeth, New Jersey. And I played my senior year there. Went to my, played football and basketball that year, and did pretty good and continued the hospitality even then as well. There was a restaurant, Italian restaurant across the street from the apartment, and I actually bartended there at 17, and
in Jersey, right?
In Jersey, North Jersey, like I said, Elizabeth, right across from Staten Island. So, it was interesting. I'll say that. It was very interesting. A lot of older gentlemen. I'll say that. That's all I can say.
Was it called Brittano's?
No. No. I'm not even going to die. It was right across the bridge, though. Anybody knows anything, they can find out.
That's funny.
But it was a good experience,
Yeah.
I learned a lot. It was just one of them stories, one of them things. It's like I guess I took everything for, I won't say granted, but I kind of didn't look at my life while I was going through it, which most people don't. You just kind of go through the motions and try to have the experiences, and you have these aspirations, and you're not really seeing the value. And I look back now, I'm like, I learned a lot during those times,
Mm-hmm.
So it's all part of what made me who I am today, for sure.
Julian, you said you were 6'2" when you were 15. Are you still 6'2", or
No,
how big
I'm
are you now?
about 6'4" and some change.
Oh wow! So you can't see this stuff on Clubhouse and even
Right.
Zoom. You can't tell, right? Like
Right.
6'4". Wow. So yeah, you've must have been a very impressive bouncer.
I did that for some time,
Uh-huh.
And met a lot of people. Like there was a time where I would feel away because I felt like some people were disrespectful.
Yeah.
Because when they go to a nightlife spot, a lounge, whatever, a club, people go to show off, people go and this and that, and everybody want to flex their muscles, especially after drinking a bit. Now they got flexing their drunk muscles and trying to show off and talk, kind of belligerent sometimes. And, they kind of viewed security and the balances as just, Neanderthals almost, just, it would be disrespectful. And I'm like, man, I'm getting kind of tired of this, I'm pretty intelligent guy. And I come with respect, but don't disrespect me like that. And somebody like us, I give you this, right? Sometimes be out with friends and we're out having a good time. And then they're trying to show off and flex. And like, oh yeah, this is my bodyguard here. I'm just like I kind of took it a certain way.
Yeah.
I'm not going to even say it's the wrong way, but it was a certain way, and it fueled me. It fueled my passions to want to trump not them, but trump this image that people would have about bodyguard, bouncers, anything like that in that space. Like, no, we're very highly intelligent individuals as well, simply because of the fact, while everybody else is being active, they're talking, running their mouth, doing what they're doing, we're just sitting there watching and listening. So if you approach things from a certain mindset and perspective, you'll learn a lot. You'll get to know who all the movers and shakers are. So that's what nightlife taught me. Hospitality industry taught me a lot, you know, how to just watch people and learn, listen to what's going on. And, well, they don't know these people, but these people could be beneficial to what they're doing. Maybe there's a way I can make something happen. Then make some introductions, find myself in the middle of the deal, or whatever the case may be, or just add some value to somebody else's situation so I could always come back and be, you know, be a friend. So it's just different ways to approach and look at it. So that's what I've kind of utilized in my life up to this point.
You took the smart approach to being a part of that situation, which was, I commend you on that. And, you know, being a big guy too, I'm not as tall as you, but I've had the same problem. I think a lot of one of the things I'm sure you've encountered too is that when they see bigger people, they, especially in your situation, when people had a few drinks, they want to test their muscles. They want to pick the biggest guy they see. And that's the one that they want to make their name with. So, I mean, how did you deal with that situation, which I'm sure was very frequent?
You know, well, I'm going to be honest. It would just be sometimes people just make their little snide remarks in passing.
Okay.
Like they be walking by and say something slick. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give him a pass. I'm gonna give him a pass because I understood. You know, I was in it for since I, like I said, 15 years old. I get it. You know what I mean? I understood it. So my whole approach became, number one, I didn't believe in necessarily putting hands on people. Like there was, you know, I'm a big, you know, I'm a big guy in retrospect and understanding that, but I wasn't intimidating, like this scowl on my face and this. I wasn't like that. I just how I am now.
Yeah.
You know, that's how that's how I served my role, my position. So, stern but friendly, you know, approachable to a degree, and that would kind of intrigue people. And I just picked up on that, you know, especially when they say very direct things, because they don't, you know, they think that it's over your head, and it's like, I caught it, but it's okay. You know, they say things like, "Oh, you're well spoken." What the? Okay, thank you. Okay. Like you're not like the others. What is the other? It's like, you know. So, but it's okay. You know, it's okay. I get it. I get it. Nobody really tested me like that though. Even in the most dangerous places that I've worked, I worked everywhere from, you know, the most vicious nightclubs, you know, gentlemen's clubs, to lounges, pubs, concerts. You know, sometimes I did private, you know, executive protection work for certain guests that would come into town. You know, the owners of the venue would have me kind of work directly with, you know, the special clients. And even when I got into promotions and whatnot, nightlife in New York City, where, you know, we worked with a lot of celebrities and record companies and things like that, and NFL draft, NBA draft. You know, you got to work with high-profile individuals, and sometimes the venue owner would say, "Well, listen, we need a liaison type individual." So a lot of times they would ask me to be involved on that regard. Like I said, even as a promoter and event manager, you know, it just came natural to just make sure the situation was protected, make sure the assets were good. So that's how I kind of just took and molded that mentality on my own. Let me just take a different approach to this thing.
So how did you get from the point where you're working the bars, you're being a bouncer and you're building your way up? How did you get to the point where you actually owned your own nightclub? Was that way after down the road, or was that like something that happened within a certain few years?
Talking about a 20-year
okay.
career, you know.
I don't want to
almost.
jump the story yet.
No, it's fine. That's perfectly fine. Well, what ended up happening was, as security, as the bouncer, at the end of the night, you're the last one to leave.
Yeah.
So I'm watching the promoters. First, I'm watching the bartenders count all their tips. I'm like, okay. And then I see them tipping out to the bus boys. I'm like, okay. Even the bus boys making, walking out of here 100, 120 bucks, 30 bucks. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, they're not putting their life on the line. You are.
Yeah, and I see the promoters, they count thousands of dollars at a time. Like, I'm on the wrong side of this thing. Everybody comes to the door. I normally work the door. I was a doorman. So a lot of people knew me. I'm like, all I got to do is just get people's contact information, let them know there's a cool event going on. Because that's what they would ask anyway. Hey, is there anywhere else? I'm like, well, on this day, you can check out this. But I'm like, well, I was doing that anyway. I'm like, why don't I just transition into the promotions and the things and, see how that goes. And so I did. And it started a little slow, as it does. But then I realized, okay, there's a way I could, just find my niche. And my niche was, well, everybody has a birthday, right? So everybody's always looking to celebrate in some form of fashion. So if I could just lock in with a venue, get a couple people birthdays at one time, everybody get their own little booth and corner, and then everybody else just kind of sprinkle in and mix in, we'll have a good party. And that's what we're going to do. So the first one I did had about 8 birthdays going on that same night in the venue. And so packing. And at that time, once I realized how to do it the right way, you really had the, in New York City, you had the talkofnewyork.com website. You had the, all like the event websites where the photographers would come out and take pictures of the crowd and give them their flyers so people can go to the websites and get the pictures, their party pictures, right? So once that started happening, you realize that now you just take that and use that as a marketing material that, hey, this party was on point. Like, so now you use that and then people are like, well, I don't want to miss the next one. And then it started to happen like that. And then I linked up with some individuals, like I said, at the record companies and in the media in New York City, and just became a part of this movement. Shout out to my buddy, D. Simpson Dante, with DSA Media Group, doing awesome things in the e-gaming space and all that stuff like that now. But we had a very good run in New York City, bringing some high-level, high-profile events. And, it taught me a lot. It built my network up. I was able to connect. And that's what, then I'm like, well, all right, I'm promoted. Now I'm looking, well, I'm doing these bar percentages and things like that. Why don't I just own the whole bar? So that's what transitioned me into
real estate.
Opening up my own lounge, restaurant, club, and then going through that process and working that, and just a natural progression.
Do you still own clubs and bars and stuff, or?
Not right now, not presently. The one that I did have in Virginia, that's what kind of had me to do a hard pivot went into, going into acting and filmmaking, that whole side of things, because the club I owned, it was an investment opportunity that I invested in the Southern Virginia region. And the team that I had in place, because I was still...
Oh, Julian, you're on mute. There you go. Julian, you there?
Zoom muted for a second. I think you might have had a call or something come in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I hear you now. Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Blank for like 10 seconds.
No problem. As I was saying, the team that I had put in, maybe I articulate my vision clear enough. I'm just going to say it like that because I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. But I had to end up not just commuting, but relocating down to Virginia.
Wow.
To get my business really running the way I felt as though it needed to be. But then again, remember, I'm very bullish and aggressive. So maybe, it could have been going fine at a gradual pace had I just let it, the management handle it the way they were doing it. But me, coming from New York, just being very like, nah, it needs to be more. Like the numbers are, the profit margin needs to be greater, And so I felt it was slow coming out of the red. So that's why I relocated down there, and I just took the reins and I just kind of bulled my way through without networking properly like I typically would have done. Getting to know the locals, the officials, the individuals in the region, so I can know who the movers and shakers are. I didn't do that. I went in doing my own thing down in the South as a man of, some melanation, some melanin. It works a little different in the South, So it was a good learning experience. I'll put it like that. So ultimately, I had to end up closing my doors because of the lack of regard and respect for the region. It wasn't because of the business, it wasn't because we wasn't packed. We're packed. That was the problem. It was overly packed with a lot of different types of individuals. And at the time, the area they couldn't really grasp, like, who is this guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah. You stepping on toes.
Who is he? Like, what's happening? And so when that happens, things happen. I just put it like that. I'm not, like I said, I'm not here to throw anybody under any buses, but it's okay. At that time, and this was 2015, right? So when I had to close my doors, I was completely tapped. I had just got into the black, like broke even, barely.
Wow.
At this time, and I had to close my doors.
Which was the opposite experience, by the way, in New York. In New York, you were thriving, and then you came down here. It was completely different for first time, probably, right? Yep.
It was different. And it wasn't that I was just balling out millionaire, this and that, but I was having a good time. I was having a good time spending money, making money, meeting, making friends, networking, all of those things. And so, but my plan was to go down to Virginia. Okay, this is going to be my retirement plan. Open up one spot, and then I'm gonna open up another, and then another. That was my thing. Like, so I was already thinking scale. But I had to close the doors, and it left me flat broke. All my investment dollars were sunk into the venue, and there was no way to pull it, to get it back. So, I was in the dark. I call it a dark place because because everybody left.
Did that affect your personal life? Were you personally insolvent?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Kind of did. I'm not going to sit here and lie.
You don't have to disclose. I'm just curious.
No, I'm not going to lie. You know what I'm saying? I'll talk about whatever. Like, I don't. Yeah. Not an issue, but it felt I was left like, wow, like people that was in my face and yeah. As soon as that happened, they were gone. No text, no nothing. People just disappeared. I'm like, wow, okay.
Temporary friends.
Like, I see what it was about. Not a problem, but then I had to make a choice. I said, okay, what am I going to do now at this point? I can't stay in this place of, I had a few $1,000s that I had actually got from a motorist had an accident one day. at while my club was open. During those times, it was rainy. It was things going on. We were planning for a big weekend, and it was a Friday. And the motorist, and the way the position of where my spot was, it was like, so think Virginia, you got this like little dirt rock type incline, and then it goes onto the property. And my property, the building sat back a little bit. So the motorist was flying down the highway road, and hydroplane hit the curb. The car went mid-flight, came down in the parking lot, and crashed into my sign.
What?
I can't make it up. I promise. I got pictures. I got proof. And it's crazy.
You mean like one of those giant signs in front of your property?
Like you have the pole and then the sign, the one that lights up. Yeah.
He went through that?
It crashed into it. The sign didn't move, but it knocked out, it did knock out some of the electrical. So the sign completely went out, and it impacted the whole parking lot as far as lights and everything. So like it knocked out the power. It knocked out the power to the building, and for about a mile stretch in both directions. Now, they were able to service it and get the rest of everybody back up and running. But because we were the source, they couldn't, for some reason, they couldn't do anything. The electrical company couldn't do anything. So I was shocked for that weekend. And so, long story short, I was able, once I closed, that's when the insurance company kicked in. You know, it was only a couple dollars. It wasn't nothing crazy, but it was enough to sustain me for a little bit so I can get my mind together as much as possible. Then, you know, I was sitting at the house one day, I'm like, oh man, like, I gotta do something. Like, what am I gonna do now? Because I had moved my mom, my son, everybody down from Jersey to Virginia.
Oh, and, wow.
Yeah, like this was a thing. So I'm like, what am I gonna do? And I said, you know, I always wanted to really explore my creative side, my artistic side. And I said, you know what? If I ever get an opportunity to really have a platform, I want to make sure I use it to help others. That was my intention. That was my mindset, right? Literally, like an hour later, I was online, like typically how people do. They'll go online, and sometimes you just find yourself online. You don't know why you're online. You know, I'm just online Googling, or just searching, or just on. And I came across a post from a television show that was shooting a pilot out in North Carolina. And they were looking for some extras. I'm like, you know what? Let me give it a shot. I took some pictures of myself off my iPad, sent it in, and they emailed me, said, hey, we can use you. You know, you got a good look, whatnot. So this was October 2015. So I went about 4 months of trying to figure some things out, trying to work on a couple of things. Some situations didn't quite work out the way I was looking, because I was, you know, in the place of, I don't want to call it duress or stress, but it was very stressful. I will say stressful. I'm not going to say duress, because duress seems crisis-like. It wasn't crisis, but, you know, it was stressful because you're trying to make up and you're trying to figure out what to do, how to help lead your family forward. And it's kind of really dependent on me. I was like, okay. So sometimes you don't make the best decisions during those emotional times and mental times. So that's what happened. So again, fast forward up to the first acting gig, which was, like I said, it was extra background work. Once I got on set, which is a whole nother situation, I actually had to, one of my friends had to spot me a couple bucks just to get gas.
Jeez.
You know, that's how low things got tapped tonight. I needed gas money, so he hooked me up enough to get gas, and I got down there and got on set. I was like, wow, this is interesting, like all the moving parts. And I've been a part of productions as far as nightlife, you know, shows, things like that. But to be switch from the organizer to talent, even though it was background, I had opportunity to observe and look at it from a different set of lenses. No pun intended. To be able to see the moving components and working parts of film set. And I'm like, wow, I'm watching the sound people, the lighting guys, people carrying the cables, and just all these things is moving. I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. You know, I felt the way, like it changed something in me instantly. But I'm like, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be doing this, like something in this. And, you know, just doing what I do, just networking with individuals, you know, behind the sets and things like that. And for that first booking, the production, they asked if, you know, I can hang out for 2 more days because they were going to shoot in some other scenes, other locations, and, you know, they thought, you know, I had, like I said, the look they were looking for and needing for the scenes. And
by the way, did they pay well for that? I was always curious, and I was talking to Forbes Riley about this a few days ago. She's a famous celebrity actress. Did it, like, just getting started, these little, you know,
roles, little background. Well, here's the deal: the background extra roles, there's a range. So you, depending on where you're shooting and filming, and whether or not if it's a union project, SAG after union project, or if it's non-union. But you usually make, you know, it's something to put a couple dollars in pocket, hopefully use it right. But you can make anywhere from 75 to 150, $200 a day. You know, that's, you know, somebody local.
Yeah.
And their rent is, especially depending on where they're filming, their rent is like $1,000 a month. You know, you could work 10 days, you know, and at least get your rent paid. You know what I
mean? Yeah. That's what I mean. And at least you can put your lights on and stuff, and
you can survive. You can survive. You got to work your butt off long days. You're talking 8, 12 hours sometimes. You know,
wow,
long days sitting around doing a bunch of nothing until you're called upon. But that's the game.
Just to be an extra, right? Like
be an extra, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then you learn how to work those opportunities. Like I was saying, you know, network. Yeah. You don't be behind the scene playing cards all the time and talking and just goofing off. Yeah. No, pay attention to what you're doing. Pay attention to the scenes. Pay attention to the set, the crew. You know, ask questions. Use it as a learning opportunity, because especially when you get to work on major studios, network projects, you're with the professionals. Like, it's not theory. You're watching, you're in it. You're ask, why did you put that smoke and fog machine on? What does that do? Oh, that impacts and affects the mood and the lighting because of the particles in the air. Like, it's a technical component of it. So use these opportunities. And this is for anybody that's trying to break in or trying to break out of background to start moving, whether it's in behind the camera or further in front of the camera. Utilize where you're at to propel and leverage yourself forward. Okay.
Now, Julian, sorry, I want to just pause for a moment, because I could already see how you can advance extremely quickly based on what you just said. And correct me if I'm wrong. So you got a whole bunch of extras sitting around for about 8 hours doing nothing, waiting for their part. And maybe were they playing cards, most of these people? Because if they are, let me just preface this question. If they were just sitting around playing cards, I can see where a person like you, who would never do nothing like that, would sit around and look for that one moment where you're actually talking to all the owners and everyone else. And you'd be the odd one out of all those people, which would like increase the odds of your success very quickly, because you're not like the rest of the people in the extra crew. Did I paint a picture correctly of everyone that was most of the people there?
It's safe. So what would happen would be, I'm giving you, you know, the real of it. What would happen would be, once some people would notice the producers or director, the assistant directors, And even maybe even some of the lead actors on it, the principal actors, would be having conversations with, just show themselves friendly to me. And occasionally somebody like, well, maybe I need to be close to this guy because he seems to be making some traction. And, it's not to toot my horn or anything like, but that's just my nature. Like, I'm a network. I want to learn. I want to know, okay, how does this work? How does this work? And I want to, service. I like provide service and have a proposition value as a person to other people, if that makes sense. So how can I help? How can I help move things forward? Is there anything I can do? One time I asked, and this was like, I think it was the first day. The crew had to move something and something was a little heavy. I'm like, you want me to help? That wasn't my job, but I'm like, you need me to help. Like, that's just a natural thing. You need me to help. And they're like, oh, no, you can't because this is, you're not labor, you're not part of the union. So this, we got a crew member, thanks anyways. And then that person spoke to another person and said, oh, this guy's pretty, and that's how it works. It's just, show yourself friendly and just have respect for others, And this is from, now mind you, there was a whole directive of when you're as a background actor, you don't talk to the stars. Don't. A list of don'ts, right? Stay here, do this, stay here. Just stay there until we come for you. And so you're talking about a person that's, for the most part, because outside of hospitality, nightlife, I've had other businesses. I had a personal trainer company. I had a handbag line, a wine company, a watch. I own a watch line.
Wow.
I did, a serial entrepreneur in the process. You work nightlife, this and that. So I had a artist development studio in Jersey where, it's about 7,000 square feet. People come through, had 3 recording studios set up in a recording studio, photography studio. So I've always been for the most part, a leader, a boss type person. So to now have to switch my mindset to become, be postured to learn, right? And to take a step, I guess people would say stepping back or down, but sometimes you got to do that. That's your pivot. You got to pivot your mind and saying, I'm not too big to relearn something, to learn something new or relearn where I'm at and learn yourself more about who you are. And so in doing that, it just led to other opportunities. So within 2 weeks, and this is the part that gets people, from the time I started the background work, within 2 weeks of going up and down the East Coast, sleeping in my car, I couldn't afford a hotel. Like I said, my buddy had to loan me money just to get gas. So, but when they asked me to stay for 2 more days, that first set, I slept in my car. I said, yeah, I'll stay. I didn't, most people were like, why? Because I found something new about myself. I found something new that I would like. I knew that I had to be a part of. Sometimes that intuition, you got to go with it and just trust the process. And so I slept in my car. I had a gym membership to Planet Fitness. 24 hours, so you got somewhere to take a shower. You go work out. You sleep in the car. You go in and run to the restroom, bathroom. You make it work. And I did that. For a few weeks, and up and down the coast. And then the 5th project, and this is all by word of mouth and networking versus playing cards, actually having conversations, getting to know people, networking. One person told another, sent me, hey, there's a project you might want to check out. Are they looking for some extras? Sure. I did that. And then I got to the next set. And then somebody I met there led me to another project, which then from that set led me, I connected with someone, and then they hit me up while I was on another project saying, hey, there's a big project, or there's something going on in Atlanta. They're looking for church people, like partitioners or deacon boards, and just the extras, you know. And then they're looking for also bartender and wait staff and things like that. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I know I could fit something, you know. And so I submitted my material, pictures, headshot, uh, sizes for the clothes, wardrobe, and things like that. And literally, and this is gonna be funny too. This is the funny part. I was on a set in Richmond, Virginia area, working on a background for a feature film. And the building that we were in didn't have Wi-Fi. But I had my iPad and I had my phone. So when I got the text message that, hey, there's this project that's looking for these different types of people, I'm like, oh, cool, yeah, I'll check it out. So when I went to go submit, because I had my pictures on my iPad at the time, I'm like, I can't get any Wi-Fi. And they're like, there's no Wi-Fi in this building. I'm like, shoot, because I didn't have it in my phone. So I'm like, what am I gonna do? I know what I'll do. I pulled out my iPad and I took my phone and took a picture off of my iPad, like with my phone of my iPad. Here's the crazier part. I didn't even crop it. It still had the edges of the iPad case with the table in the back. Crazy, right? And so I sent that in as is, like. So the young lady hits me back in an hour, like, hey, think you make for a good bartender, right? I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, when does it shoot? When do you need me? So send me the details. Cool. Fast forward to that day where to go film. I got to Atlanta. I had just drove through the middle of the night from Savannah because I had just finished filming something there. Again, this is still all background, extra work. So I'm driving through the middle of the night, through the back highway woods of Georgia. Deer's running across every 5 minutes. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm tired. But I had to be on set by 7 a.m. So we wrapped at like 10, 11 o'clock. And another set, I'm like, I gotta go. I just gotta go and just sleep in the car when I get there. It was crazy, man. So yeah, so I go to check in and I look on the list and my name is not there. I'm like, well, I know I got the email, but it wasn't listed as a bartender. I was listed as a wait staff, number 7. I'm like, and it's back to that number 7 again, right? And so I'm like, hey, that's me right there. I didn't care. I was happy to be on another set, to get another opportunity to apply myself, learn, and all that. So did that, got dressed. We got over to the set and it's at a bar. Shout out to Cigar City Club in Atlanta. Mr. Julius over there, he's a cool guy. We actually shot my music video at his location too, so that's why I gave him a shout out. It's a great, great location and whatnot. So anyway, we're there, and I'm like, wow, this is nice. And just being up front, being attentive to the action. So when I got out of the shuttle, I went right inside and got right there, like, okay, well, you guys need me. So one of the assistant directors was like, hey, big guy, come here. Stand here in front of it. So it was basically in front of the bar. Bar stools were flipped on top of the bar. And he said, hey, I need you to flip these bar stools down and walk off to your left. So that was my directives for the scene. He said, so when we get ready to film, that's the action I need you. No problem. I'm standing there, ready to start flipping bar stools to walk, which was all natural for me because my whole life was a nightlife, So I'm like, I'm at home. Next thing I know, out from the kitchen comes strolling Miss Oprah Winfrey, right?
What?
So
Oh, that's how it happened? Wow.
I can't make it up. She comes out, she strolls up. Her mannerism on television is exactly how she is in real life, by the way. She's mad cool. So, hey, everybody. Everybody, okay, Oprah. But mind you, I've done, nightlife in New York City, like on some grand levels. So I'm used to celebrities, I'm used to billionaires, that wasn't even the thing. It was like I said, I think I might have said in one of the Clubhouse rooms that it's really about the regard of her work ethic, who she is in our communities, someone to look to. Like, okay, she's done well for herself. She's been through a lot, and that was more of the thing. Like, wow, it's Oprah Winfrey. You know what I'm saying? Like, proud. That's cool. So she goes, and so at this point, I'm in front of the bar still, ready to do my job. She sits down at the bar, like, so. Just imagine this, envision this. So you have the front of the bar wraps like this, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm in front of the bar. She comes about here. She's seated at the bar stool about 9-10 feet away from me. So we do the scene a couple of times. She spins around the bar stool. She's like, "What are you doing?" Now, mind you, I'm like, okay. I know I just started acting in this space, but I don't think I did a bad job. I'm walking, flipping the bars. I'm like, well, I'm here to help. She's like, no, you work for Auntie M. I'm like, you're right, I do work for Auntie M. Now I'm like, in my head, I'm like, what the hell is Auntie M? I'm assuming that's who she is, because nobody told us anything. I'm like, yeah, you're right, I do work for Auntie M. She spins back around the bar. We do the scene, a couple more takes, then she spins around again. She's like, sir, what's your name? I said, it's Julian. She said, how long have you been acting? I said, 2 weeks. She said, 2 weeks? And you already on the show with me? And I'm like, I guess that's where I'm supposed to be. And she said, okay. So she looks at the director, the producer, the writer. She's like, everybody, this is Julian, guys. He's been acting 2 weeks. And then they start chuckling. I'm like, oh, hell no. I'm like, I don't know. But again, here's a truth of the matter. Because I'm not a religious guy, very spiritual, right? So I could discern the moment and the time that, okay, something is happening. I can't put my finger on it at that time. I'm like, I don't, but something's happening. Just go with it. So throughout the day, every time like she would like make eye contact, we would make eye contact with each other. She'd kind of give this little chuckle and shake her head like as to say, like, this guy, you know what I mean? But it wasn't nothing, negative. It was just, and so I just kept doing my job, wiping stuff, go get the glasses, this and that, So by the end of the day, the director, producers, they had some of the extras come out, line up, and they were just chatting amongst themselves. I'm standing there, I'm like, there's something about this happening right now. Whatever it is happening right now. And so they were like, hey, you're the guy. Everybody else go to the back. And so at that moment, they're like, hey, can you be available? We need you for other episodes to come on, and just so we can have some continuity. So we need to have you position with Oprah, but we need you to be the bartender now and just be behind the bar. We need to have it's kind of the scene of looking like there was no lines at that point. It was just, visual wise. Mm-hmm. I'm like, sure, I'm available. I'm here now. They're like, no, we need to know you're going to be available in the future. We call upon you. Yeah. So I'm not thinking anything else of it other than hey, they, you know, now mind you, like I said, when I got there, they didn't have me down as a bartender. They had me as a wait staff, 7. But the original young lady who called me about the casting, she said I'd be good for the bartender. So when they say that to me, they're like, all right, well, go ahead and get behind the bar. So I get behind the bar and I'm standing there. And so now the wardrobe people come over to, you know, do this, the makeup person come, the powder. I didn't have all that done at that point before. Not as an actor, because I was a background. You know, they didn't really matter. You know what I mean? Which you know, you just extra. You just in there for atmosphere.
That's
And so yeah, I just started to feel this weight. It felt like weight pressing down on my shoulders while I'm standing behind the bar. And I promise you, as a spiritual guy, I'm like, wow, what is going on? And then I just hear this inner voice say, that's just the machine, right? That's the machine. Don't worry about it. You were built for it. And the next thing I know, the pressure released. It was literally like someone was sitting on my shoulders.
wow.
And then it just released off me. And I'm like, the machine. Hindsight 2020. So when you talk about highly successful, high vibrational people, like nobody can tell me anything different about frequencies, vibrations, and things like that. It's very real. There's a machine, like someone like Oprah Winfrey. There's a machine that's working on her behalf outside of just her as the individual, right? And so I'm like, oh, okay, get it. As soon as the pressure release, she comes walking over, and then she, you know, starts taking up a conversation, started asking me, have I ever worked in a bar and this and that? I'm like, well, actually, yeah. You know, I told a little bit about me, and she said, did you always act or want to act? I said, well, I've always been in arts because I've recorded music, you know, all my life and produced, and but I always wanted to work with other artists and creatives and things like that. And now I'm all in. You know, there's no pity patting or playing games, but I'm in. So I'm looking to work and build up from here. And then she's like, okay. And then we start talking about her tequila that she liked. And when she was in college, it's like, okay. And I said, well, can I ask you a question? She's like, sure. I'm like, well, how has your transition been from ending the Oprah Winfrey show to transition to owning your own network? How has that been for you? And she kind of had this look like, okay, like a real question, you know what I mean? And a lot of people tell me, like, in that moment, they don't know what they would have said. You know, they probably would have been, you know, the fans, of course, you know, but I'm like, well, I told you, like in my head, I'm like, I told you already, I'm here. Like, this is what I'm supposed to be. So now let's just be, right? So she answers, she gives me good answer, good response, something that was pertinent for her. And so I'm not going to repeat it because, you know, personal conversation, but it just showed me her realness, showed me her openness and humanity. And it's like, okay, it's cool. And then next thing I know, the main actress of the show, Greenleaf, comes walking up, and Oprah turns and hugs her and this and that. They were filming this the whole time. Our interaction. They wanted to feel natural. See what I'm saying? Because had they said, all right, this is what I might have, I don't know how I would have did, you know, but they saw it. So anytime anybody watches, goes back to season 1, episode 1, Greenleaf, they'll see that moment when the character Gigi walks in and Oprah's at the bar talking to me. She's in front of the bar, I'm behind the bar, she's talking, she turns and hugs her. That was a real natural situation where
no kidding.
Yeah, it was
wow.
They didn't pick the dialogue, but you saw the interaction.
But they didn't tell you that's what was really happening, right? They wanted to be so natural. They couldn't even inform you that this was the case. Wow.
Because I was new. I was so new. They were like, let's see how it goes. So it worked out. 2 weeks later, I got an email. Hey, we need you guys back again. We're filming another, episode or whatnot. So this time I get there, there was a big mix-up because the first initial person they had as a bartender. So you got principal casting, background extras casting, typically two different departments or companies that the production company utilizes. This is for people that don't know. So apparently the production was told to get in contact with the bartender. So they contacted background casting and said, hey, tell the bartender that this whole situation of being upgraded with lines, a character, all of that. So they never made the change on their paper because they didn't know that there was a change. So what I'm saying? So they called the original other guy that was an extra. And I still feel like, oh man, like trying to empathize with him, you know what I'm saying? Because I could only imagine how that would feel. You get a call, an email, and they tell you this and that, and you go show up, you get a trailer, you're in the trailer, you're this and that, you get the set, and they're like, you're not the guy. Like,
they had to tell another guy that someone took his spot?
Well, that it was a mix-up.
Oh, okay.
So when I got there, I got there, they were like, hey, yeah, so-and-so got upgraded, this and that. When you see him on set, congratulate him. This and that. I'm like, cool, hey, I'm just happy to be here. You know what I mean? But then when I got over there, they were like, there's been a mistake. You're the guy. You're the 2 weeks guy, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm 2 weeks guy. And so they were like, yeah, we got to get the paperwork. They're scrambling, this and that, all type of things going on. Because when you have to get what's called Taft-Hartley, so you can qualify for a union, there's a lot of paperwork that got to go into that. There's a lot of movement, steps and things. So it was a scramble, but they got it all done. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Like, I got what? So I didn't even have the regular, process of being able to even enjoy the moment fully because it happened so fast in a moment. Like I had to just, okay, what we doing? What I gotta say? Where the line's at? It was only, 2 lines, but it was probably some of the best 2 lines that I had the opportunity to do because it opened up so many other opportunities. So Oprah come out, she's like, hey, Julian, how you doing? She gives me a high five and a hug and stuff. And like, it's been a month yet? I'm like, yeah, it's a month now. And things like that. So we do the scene, this and that. It was just awesome, and then, but from there, I just continued on the journey, like, because anybody that knows in filming, you film the day, it doesn't premiere till maybe the end of the year, a year later or something. So, and it's not a guarantee that your scenes are going to be kept. So, and my mindset was, well, just keep working, just keep getting out here, keep learning. So I actually did I worked on about 40 projects. Wow. From that time on Greenleaf till it dropped. Background, a lot of background, a lot of work in Atlanta, a couple other places, but mostly Atlanta.
Not that movie, other movies and stuff, right?
Other projects, yeah. Okay. And some stuff people moved me to the forefront. Some stuff, just different opportunities. But I always took it as I got to keep learning. So I never went on a set like, yeah, why I just worked with Oprah. No, nobody knew anything until June that next year, 2016. So all this happened October, November. So I didn't even make mention of it on anything like that until it came out, like in June. Once I saw a behind the scenes clip of Oprah's character, and it showed me with her, I was like, oh, shoot, they kept it. I'm like, oh, it's on now. So I
Wow.
screenshotted it, and then I put it on Facebook. I mean, it was what it was. It was already out. It's just, I didn't know, and then things just started to move from there. But I later, and then when I came back for season 2, that was a great experience. So many things had happened in between the release and the season 2 premiere. Got involved with some different organizations, speaking engagements, the college tour to talk about living, instead of chasing your dreams, pursuing your purpose in it. And just a couple of different things. Most, a lot of, domestic violence, a huge space for me to just inject myself as a man against domestic violence. Because at the time when Greenleaf came out in June 2016, another acting friend of mine, she was killed by an ex and whatnot on her birthday. And it was crazy. And so I just said, well, I don't know what I could do, but here's what I'm willing to try to do as a man, for the women out there, and stepping in, as an advocate, as a man against domestic violence. So created an organization called SOUL, Saved by Women, and partnered with different groups and entities that had initiatives, domestic violence, or spoken vigils, awareness events, campaigns, all type of things like that. So a lot of things was happening, moving, and doors just started opening, other opportunities, entrepreneurship, expos, and all type of things. It just showed me that I went back to that, what I said to myself and promised myself, which was, if I ever had a platform, I would use it to help people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, get to work with the likes of Winfrey, got a hell of a platform with her, not just on the show, directly with her. You know what I mean? Like, co-starring with her on the show, it just opened up. Like, people don't even care how large or small my role might have been as my character. It's just an instant star power impact, but then it's what you do with it. It's not just that, it's what you do with it that leverages and propels you forward. And so that's what I was able to do. And then later find out that, there was a quest, she requested that I be bumped up to co-star with her on the show. And so it was cool. I appreciate it. And ever since my mindset has been, how can I use what I got to not just help myself, but how can I use it to help other creators and other aspiring, people out there that's looking to break into whatever they're trying to do. Because it's a mindset. It ain't about the industry. Industry doesn't matter. You can switch up the industry. You can switch up the career or the whatever. It's all about your mindset. And so that's what I learned to do. And even more so. So you couple all that with my experience, nightlife, and all that. That's where we are today.
How many episodes, Julian, did you wind up being a part of the Greenleaf program? And also, was that the first episode that you were on the first season? You started the first season, first episode?
Yeah, total, right? Three episodes total.
3 episodes?
The first one, the third one, and then the first episode, the premiere for season 2. Was it?
Wow.
That was all I needed.
Yeah, exactly. You only needed the one day, really.
Really, so it just opened up, like I said, so many opportunities and avenues, because even like Oprah's role on the show, she was only on a limited amount of episodes herself.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So yeah, so she wasn't even on the rest of the series, like season 3, 4, 5, she's
How many were
season 2, 5 seasons.
5. And why'd they stop though?
That was contractual. I think that's what it was. There was talks about a spinoff. I don't know where that is right now. So you never know. You never know. But it was interesting. So again, it opened up other doors to get other roles, other opportunities. And instead of me chasing after like I told the crowd students, instead of me chasing after roles, which, you know, that's typical. I don't want to say chasing. Let me rephrase that, because I don't want anybody to misconstrue what I'm saying. Instead of actively going after roles in the traditional way that an actor would, especially with that type of opportunity, they would shoot for an agent. They would shoot to do. They would go to do. They would be all over trying to get more role. I wasn't focused on roles. I was focused on the role I could play in society with the platform that I had.
Yeah,
that led me to get more roles without even having to audition for some stuff. You know what I mean? Just people just liking the engagement and experience that we're sharing in the moment, and them saying, "Hey, I got this project. Think you would be cool for it? Cool, let's go." You know, and
so
continue to be me.
So Julian, I have a whole series of questions for you, and I don't want this to be that long, but I wanted to just basically summarize the last part of your story. Can you tell us like what happened from that point? Well, actually, let me step back for a second. I just want to clarify. So you're saying from the point of the time of the story when your nightclub in Virginia collapsed and you made the decision to check that first extra set out and see what's going on, from that day to 2 weeks later, you were in that situation where you were next to Oprah Winfrey. 2 weeks from that point to that point.
Yeah.
Wow. I appreciate the story so much more now. That's crazy.
Thanks. Yeah, it's crazy. Like it is.
Wow.
Every day, and sometimes you, like I said, even with what I mentioned before, like you go through these experiences and you really don't realize the true impact of what you're going through and what that means, not just to you, but other people that you come in contact with. Like I never realized how impactful that 2 week story, because a lot led up to the first day of the 2 weeks, you know, losing the club, this and that couple, you know, situations. But from that to that, like a lot of people like, wow, like they inspired and motivated, encouraged to go out and, you know what, let me try, you know, because you never know. So
did you ever hear Steve Harvey's story? He's got an incredible story. Sounds a little bit similar. I don't know exactly how similar. The homeless part, I think his was a little more extreme in that case. But basically, he was taking showers out of public bathrooms and stuff, and he got the phone call to go up to New York, and that one moment changed his life. It was something real fast.
I heard his story, Tyler Perry's story. You know, a lot of people's got these stories, and when I was hearing them before, I'm like, wow, like okay. And when I went through a smaller version of it, like I wasn't homeless. It's just being out to make those sacrifices on the road and your limited resource. You got to do what you got to do. So I did what I had to do to have the proper experience. So it was what it was.
By the way, I think you would like. I had a guy on here, Steve Sims. He's actually a co-author with one of the book series I'm involved with right now. He was a bartender, I think, in Britain, and he just started from a bricklayer family, just a regular guy, and he's like one of those guys, the main connectors to like if you want to meet Elon Musk or something like that, like he's the kind of guy that does all that. So that's what he's known for. And he started out bartending and he learned, and well, really bouncing. I'm sorry. He was a bouncer, and just like yourself. And he had the same mindset. Like, all right, I'm letting these people in. My job is to protect make sure this club is going to be 100%. I realize my job is small, but yet huge. You know, like people might think it's stupid, but it's actually a big job. And he kept his ears open, and the networking led him to his career path. So I think there's a lot of similarities that you're going to like. His name's Steve Sims. I interviewed him probably about 4 or 5 months ago. So he comes on Clubhouse too sometimes.
Oh, I definitely like to check out his story and his experiences. Absolutely.
Yeah, he actually one of the things, he does all kinds of crazy stuff. Bluefish is the name of his company. He connected one of the opera singers, the famous opera singers. Like he had him hired to sing in front of the statue of David in Italy while someone sat there and ate dinner, and he came over. I think it was Luciano Pavarotti or one of those guys. He came over and sang First of all, you can't even eat. If you ever go to the Statue of David, and I lived out there for 6 months.
Okay.
You can't eat, you can't drink. There's signs everywhere. I don't know how he pulled this off. He had the table set up. They were eating, and here comes out this famous opera singer. Like the kind of
Right.
connections you need to do something like that, and that's what he's known for. So it's, I don't want to go too far with that, but
that's cool. That's a cool experience. I definitely checking it out.
Yeah.
So
what happened after, Julian? What happened from that point to now? If you could maybe summarize that in 2 or 3 minutes.
Well, from that point to now, like I said, I've done a ton of meet and greets in different cities throughout the U.S., meeting with local creatives, filmmakers, and just telling my story about the whole 2 weeks. And give me 1 second.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. All right. I had to charge up a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Doing meet and greets across the country and connecting with different communities and groups and whatnot, and sharing my story and just letting them know, like, hey, you guys can be empowered to work right where you're at. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people feel like to have a dream, you gotta go. There's nothing wrong with LA and Hollywood. I love it. I had great experience out there too. Nothing wrong with Atlanta. I love Atlanta. That's where it really helped me get my start. New York, everything like that. But wherever you are, you can grab a camera, some lights, some sound, get some people, and tell a story. And so that's been my whole thing for the last 4 years, 4 or 5 years almost, just letting people know that, hey, start telling your story, record it, get it done. You don't have to wait. It's up to you. And in that, while doing that, you start realizing some of the voids, some of the needs, lack of resource, lack of networks, things like that. And it's like, well, shoot, how can I leverage some of the opportunities I have and pass them on to these local creatives and communities and whatnot? So that's been an initiative of ours. Opened up a film production studio in North Carolina. Wow. Temporarily, just so we can really learn more of that side of it. It's about 60,000 square feet. Great experience. We did that in 2019. But like I said, I knew that was just a pilot for us, so we can really see what a brick and mortar does versus just, on the fly and whatnot, and versus just pulling up and shooting, as long as you got a basis, just a couple of different things. And so working that angle, seeing how the development goes, seeing the type of programs and opportunities we can kind of merge and create a hybrid model that would bring assistance that way and create more training opportunities and job creations and entrepreneurship opportunities within the production. It's a lot of opportunities there. You just got to know how to structure it, lay it out. So
Are you still making movies though?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I got a couple movies that I filmed last year in 2020 during the pandemic. I worked on about 10 projects almost.
Wow.
It was 10. It was 10. It wasn't almost. It was 10. And one of them actually right now is the executive producer on that, which they would be a part of that as an actor and whatnot. Just got picked up by a major distributor, major company that everybody knows of the company. I'm not going to spoil it for the creator and executive on that one. I'll let her do press release and then I'll follow up. But it's an awesome situation, opportunity. I had an opportunity to work with some very talented people. David Koechner, Anchorman, and Office, things like that. Producing partner on that. Her name is Tiffany Rhodes, and the project is called Match Struck, so I can tell the name of it. Check it out, Google it. There's some great reviews, actually. Another project called Hammer of Witches, which is more like a fantasy thriller type, where I play a very interesting character there. That's out of post-production now. That's getting ready to roll out. That's, you can see some of it on my Instagram stories or whatnot. Excuse me, my timeline actually. There's a little bit there. So there should be a trailer coming out soon about that. The show Back to the Good Life aired on BET's, a movie. Got another project we're about to go into pre-production on. And so awesome. So yeah, I'm still very active, you know, on that front, but I don't have to, again, I don't have to work so hard. I just can work smart, more smart.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, because you already laid the groundwork, right? Like now all your past experiences that you've built are leveraged to get you these roles a lot easier. And,
exactly.
Right.
Yeah. You know, there's about 5 projects this year that I have roles in. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Some are I have opportunity to be a producer on and whatnot. And some I just get to act and have fun. The process of all that, my wife and I, we're actually got into the real estate development game on that end as hoteliers. So
wow,
will be the first hotel that we're going to be kicking off out of Virginia, and with opportunities to scale and create our own line, our own chain, with partnered with a major one of the top hotel brands. We're going to be releasing that on Monday with the city that the first hotel is going to be in, the boutique. So I got to allow for that to release. And then I'll be on the edge about like, I'm going to say it, but I had to learn. I got to hold and wait. So, but yeah, it's pretty interesting everything that's happening right now, especially, like I said, coming through a pandemic, and even with on the health end for me last year, like I almost wasn't here. You know, I mentioned that in my share last week, but yeah, I had to go through a health scare and crisis, and I'm thriving through that. And in fact, it propelled me even further to even be a spokesperson and influencer for this American Diabetes Association. You know, as someone that's living with type 2 diabetes and had to go, you know, a couple things with that, you know, going through a amputation of my big toe, you know, being sepsis by my blood, almost dying. You know, it was a lot going on, you know, and so it just really allowed me to take the mid to the tail end of last year to really refocus, re-strategize some things, learn how to get some rest, not try to conquer the world and be the savior of the world. It's not my job to be the savior of anything, you know, just have an experience and just share my experience with others and let them do what they got to do with it, you know. And once I started taking that adaptation and mentality, mindset, along with a few other adjustments, my life is already moving well, like, but it's crazy right now, like how easy opportunities are not just presenting themselves, but actually manifesting and coming to fruition almost seamlessly, because like you said, all the groundwork already laid. So now it's just a matter of semantics and just fine tuning. That's what the lawyers and accountants are for. You know, that's what they do. You know, I know what it is, but that's not for me to worry about. It gets done. So it's grateful.
First of all, congratulations on the hotel thing. But I want to step back for a second. Is your brand, would you say your newly built brand, starting from that moment with Oprah, would you say that is the reason for a lot of this stuff? Like if you take those events out of the equation, do you think that you would have had all the opportunities that you just mentioned past 20 seconds or so?
I don't know. And I say that with respect because, like, I've always been a go-getter. I've always been amongst my peer groups, like been the one that like, how the hell did that happen?
Right,
Or
right.
like, how did you get folded? How'd you get that? How'd that, like, I've always been that guy.
Yeah,
And so I know I would have had other opportunities,
yeah.
but to be able to do it with my wife, you know, which I met in this whole process. So after I worked on Greenleaf the first time I went over, I met my wife,
Oh, I didn't
you
know.
know.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, you know, we took time, you know, built our relationship up and this and that. And we've been through a lot, you know, a lot of good, a lot of challenges as far as with external situations and just scenarios, but we went through it and as well, you know, we got each other back. I feel like I have probably the greatest wife, you know. She's smart, she's intelligent, she's everything. So we we've been moving the needle forward. So I don't know. I don't know. I would say that's it, that opportunity and all in the activities and breadcrumbs along the way all add up. But definitely, I know that opportunity with Greenleaf and Sober definitely helped springboard so much for me that was hidden or just might have had bottled up or trapped and not knowing how to get it out. And I'm still learning how to release and unlock some things. But again, it comes back to mindset and understanding that once that intention was there, there's that work, that follow up. So that goes back to that whole thing you mentioned, you know, earlier about the rose.
Oh, yeah.
In the thorn.
Folks, this was off record when we first were talking before we turned the record on. I was drinking tea today. By the way, you probably can't see this. This is actually one of the quotes from my second book, this Most Important Lessons in Economics and Finance. It says, the price of great wealth is responsibility, as people holding hands. And, you know, it's just symbol of how important everything we're talking about, actually. You become wealthy. And the price of that is that you now have to be responsible. Well, anyway, the tea that I'm drinking, it has a saying on it. I didn't even realize it. Might get a little. It says, "He who wants a rose must respect the thorn." Persian proverb. So we were talking about that. That was prefacing what Julian was talking about. So.
Right. Yeah. No. It definitely has its moments that can prick you, right? And you'll feel pricked. You're like, man, but you know what you do? If you got pricked by a thorn, what would you do? You would just suck it up and keep it moving.
Yeah.
And that's not gonna stop anything. So come leading up to this moment, that was a very instrumental pivot in my life and opportunity. And I'll always be grateful for it. And that's why I work, you know, the way I do, because it's more than just, and as each press release and each announcement and different things that go on, you know, between my record company, you know, Brittano Music, you know, we have a lot of people don't know this because I haven't really discussed it like that, but we have a digital distribution deal through Ingrooves and Universal Music, you know. So now I can distribute what I want, you know, music wise. And my focus mostly is on soundtracks and scores, obviously. Get to work with different artists like that. And like that opportunity came about because, you know, it was perpetual in nature. So it all works for the greater good. And even as we still move forward with everything, it's like just honoring and showing the gratitude. So I get all the things that I used to see and read and the secret and this and that and the magic and that, you know, I get it. Like I get how it all works now. Like, oh, okay. So let me just stay in this vein right here for a while. Let the process work for us. And that's what I mean. Like, you don't have to work so hard at a certain point. Once you lay that foundation, it just becomes, okay, what do you do with everything that comes in? You know, how do you continue to leverage? How do you sharing your resources, building, strengthening your networks, as well as creating opportunities and just letting everybody be accountable for what they do in that but that what helps you to build residual revenue streams and opportunities, you know, to where you're not having to physically punch the clock and be there and be so attentive. Even it doesn't have to be a job. Even if you're as an entrepreneur, you still gotta, you know, can't allow yourself to get burnt out. I think that's what last year taught me with the health situation. It's like work is too hard, working way too hard. Like you've already did the work. Learn how to relax, learn how to break, learn how to just rest and just trust your team, assembling the right team together. So again, the opportunity brought forth people that were more equipped, better equipped, more efficient in what they do, very professional in what they do, highly skilled in what they do. And now it's just about trusting them to do what they do and just keep seeing the macro while they're handling the micros.
So since 2015, where you're bumming money for gas from your friend to now, would you would you say that your income is distributed? Like it's amongst, it's coming in from different platforms now. You got the speaking fees, you got the acting fees, real estate stuff probably. So yeah. You're good. You're diversified now.
Right.
Okay. Which is a crucial lesson in finance about diversification, because going back to your one situation, when you had the nightclub in Virginia, you had all your eggs in one basket. I think that probably taught you that lesson, right? Like, I'm never going to do this again.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah. Yeah. It shook me up. It rattled me, but like I said, it definitely taught me. Like, okay, let me make sure this ain't it. This ain't the, you know, Hail Mary and call it a day. You know, you can take a Hail Mary as long as you know you're up. You know what I mean? Like, just run a Hail Mary just for the hell of it. You know, let me just see something here. But you do that when you're up 21 points. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't just throw it up there just to throw it up there. Sometimes, you know. So I still live by that creed as well. Like right now, the crypto space is very, as volatile as it is and uncertain as the market is. Sometimes you do enough due diligence, you can find one. People have been finding them, you know, good ones. So I'm kind of in that space a little bit now too, just throw this over here and see what happens. Right now, there's a good one I like.
But you're up 21 points, so you're all right.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
All right. Thank you, Julian. So we're going to move into the questions now, which we'll figure about a minute, 2 minutes each, and we'll make good time. And this one, some of them might even be super quick. Like the next one, overview of books, movies. First of all, do you have any books out there?
Not out. I've been writing, and this is the crazy part about it. Like, because sometimes I feel like the story isn't finished, and these aren't like fiction. This is just me sharing my experiences. So I got, you know, there's 3 books that I have in production that I'm writing right now. Like I kind of finished one, but sort of not, because I'm still finding out new information that I can apply to it. So it's like, but I have 3 books, literally, that I'm looking to release by the beginning of the new year.
You said it. It's there. It's on the recording. You got to do it now.
Put them out. They might all come out at the same time, but I got to get them out by the top of the next year. So I look forward to it.
By the way, if you need a guy to maybe endorse it or anything like that, someone who's like a #1 international bestseller in many countries, you know, I know somebody.
Okay. No, that's cool. You know, all the help possible, sure.
All right, thank you, Julian. How about movies though? Can you like summarize, besides Greenleaf, what other films were you in that maybe you want to share?
Oh, you got this television show that aired on Fox called Shots Fired. People can check that out. That's pretty cool. It addresses police violence against the community. A couple of different angles. Check that out. Back to the Good Life. Like I said, that aired on BET Network. That was a fun comedy drama that I got to be a part of. Said you got Matchstruck, you got Air of the Witch, you got Hammer of Witches, you got another show called Clinic that I got a chance to produce. And we're still working on a couple of things with that, but that's a television series. And that's, you know.
And that's where the money's at, Julian, right? The executive producers, the producers' roles, all that stuff, right? In the movie industry.
Absolutely.
That's the next step. Like you cross over to that side, and you that's when you start making the real big bucks.
Exactly, because you know, especially as a producer and having the capital in place to shoot what you want to shoot, I can appear in anything that I create, you know, and that's the whole thing that a lot of people are starting to move into that, especially in this streaming age. And, you know, you plug in your Fire Stick, you got a bunch of apps right there that you can get your material out. And there's, you know, revenue stream and monetization built into where you're getting paid for watched hours. So all you got to do is just put it up there, market it, you know, and get paid. You know, obviously there's more to it than that, but if you got the hustle and you got the will, you don't have to wait around for your agent or someone to cash you in something. You can just start creating it and start generating your own revenue. And then you never know, somebody check you out, you know, as an actor / producer, they kind of look at you a little bit differently than just as an actor sometimes. You're like, okay, this person understands the business behind it, the numbers, the finance behind it. Like it's a whole world on the other side that, you know, I'm getting to really learn, dive into. So I appreciate that.
And the producers, they make more money than, like, I mean, I'm thinking at the highest level of Hollywood, the producers make more money than any actor or actress out there, right? Like that's generally how it ranks. If you want to make money, you can shoot for that.
Well, unless the actor is The Rock or somebody like that, you know.
But he's a producer too now, right? Like he's smart.
So, you know, but typically if someone's making like $20 million a film, the producers, hopefully they, you know, they get a little something, and then get their bumps on the back end and things like that. So they can make very, very good money, you know. But to be the distributor, that's where it's at. Like when you can distribute it and have full creative control and keep your costs, your margins low. Yeah, that's where it's at. So that's where we're at right now. And again, I love acting still, so I love it both. And that's what I told Oprah. I said my aspirations is both in front and behind the camera. She's like, "Oh, good, mine too." So, you know, it's cool.
You still talk to Oprah?
No, I haven't spoken to her.
No,
I haven't spoken to her in some time. That's cool. I know there's tabs being kept on me.
That's funny.
So, but I'm here. So once the holler, I'm here. Cheers.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, you're doing great things, so I appreciate that, Julian. Real quick, we talked about some of your movies. The Greenleaf movie, though, can you just summarize what that's about? And this is Oprah Winfrey's network's owns network, Greenleaf. Maybe 30 seconds, just so people know what that show was about.
Sure. Well, it's a television series, so it aired for 5 seasons, from 2016 through 2020. Excuse me. And it's a drama. It's a drama about a family that owns or that has a mega church. And so literally you could take the situation, take a family that owns a dealership. They got family issues, right? Take a family that owns whatever. It's the same thing. It just happens to be a family that owns a mega church in the South. You know, lots of twists and turns. And you all can check it out actually on Netflix at this point.
Oh, it's on Netflix. Okay.
Yeah, you can watch it. It originally aired on the OWN network, and then I guess whatever structured deal they have, you can catch up on it on Netflix and binge watch.
Yeah, I'm going to check that out. I don't really watch too much TV these days, but you know, when I see my buddy in a show, I'm going to check it out.
Absolutely. And then when you go go on their social medias and say, hey, and hashtag me. Say, hey, Julian Brittano, aka David the Bartender, is my favorite.
Oh yeah, see, that's good. I know you got some great marketing skills, man, because that takes a lot to do that nightclub stuff. And you were looking for opportunities. You always found the opportunity. You weren't even really looking. You found them because you were a natural. So that's really good. Then. All right, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, next question. Any plans to make more movies with Oprah and her network?
In this industry, you know, yes, to answer your question, yes, I would like to. But I know she has her deal with Apple right now, so I know she has, she's going to be she's already been bringing forth new content and whatnot. So, hopefully with us building up, not even hopefully, but believing that with us building up everything that we are currently have in motion, that it will position us, with leverage to be able to be attractive to both Oprah and Apple, on whatever the case may be. But I would definitely love to be able to work with her.
Did you work with any of the other celebrities in Greenleaf? Like, I forget his name, Keith David, I think.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to work with Keith David. He's awesome. He's historic with this. He's great.
Yeah.
Did some scenes with him.
He's good friends with Forbes Riley, by the way, who was just preceding the show. Yeah, the episode before this. Okay, she comes on my stage on Clubhouse every Friday. Yeah, they're real good friends.
Gotcha. Yeah, he was awesome to work with. He's a great character, great guy, like great personality. Lamont Rucker, did a lot of work with him, but it wasn't necessarily on screen. Actually, the work with Lamont was a lot of speaking, co-speaking events that we would work at together. Just built some rapport there. He's a cool guy too. So, yeah.
Thank you, Julian. Appreciate that. All right, next question. Now, who are some of the celebrities you've worked with in your various careers? Now, I saw a picture on Instagram. You were hanging out with, it looked like P. Diddy. I don't know. This is going back from like the 90s or something. You had a picture in a nightclub, the guy from Blackish, and then some other guy who looked like P. Diddy to me, but
nah.
when he was first growing up, Diddy. I don't know.
It wasn't Diddy. No, that is when my nightlife days. We had an event called R&B Live at a venue called Spotlight Live in New York City, Midtown. That was high profile events, showcases from the artists that were on the labels. And that particular picture was Ray J, Anthony Anderson from Blackish and some of the other shows and stuff that he got going. Great career. Drew Frazier, comedian, and the late, he just recently passed, RIP to DJ K Slay from New York City. Yeah, that was that picture. But I got to work with a lot of people, both behind the scenes like that. In those instances, like with Maya, Busta Rhymes, and just trying to. It's so many. I can't even.
Did I see a picture with you and Ice-T? I think I'm top of my head.
Nah, you ain't got no picture of me and Ice-T nowhere, man. I was asleep in the club somewhere. He just no. But it's pretty cool though. Yeah, great times. Great times.
It must have been pretty wild back in the 90s in the nightclub. I'm sure all the major, like a lot of superstars went through there at some point.
Yeah. Well, a lot of stuff you might see online was from 2000s.
Oh, 2000.
Yeah, 2000s.
Okay. What is your favorite type of music? Maybe 30 seconds. Actually, I know you got rap songs because, by the way, I wanted to mention I was listening to I listened to a few of your songs, but the one I listened to this morning is really, really good. Something about Never Take My Place, I think, or something like that.
Never Have My Spot.
Never Have My Spot. There you go.
Yeah,
That's really
that's
good beat, man. A really good song, really good words. I like that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's cool. It's people like it. It's doing well. I've been doing pretty well internationally with the music. But to answer your question real quick, I love hip hop, but my actual favorite style to listen, I can listen to all day, every day, is sort of like a Sade, like her band, like that style is so cool because you got different, ethnic, cultures and vibes going on. It's you could chill, you could dance, you could groove, you could drive, you could. That's like my favorite. So my next project is gonna have.
What's that called though? What's that? I'm a big fan of Sade, but
they call it. Like, it's kind of considered the genre world.
Global, yeah, world, yeah, that's it.
So that's what I like, world music. So
yeah.
Some of my new material is gonna have some influence like that in there. I'm a grown up, man. I'm a grown man, so I gotta get on my grown man.
That's funny. I love it. Actually, I'm with you. I think that's a tough question. I would probably say world too. I like reggae, but I mean, a lot of these different musics from an American standpoint, to us, it's international. So for us, it would be world. If you were living in Jamaica, you wouldn't call it world. You'd call it homeland music.
Right, exactly. So that's what I like. I like different vibes. Like I said, growing up in so many different areas.
Yeah.
I met, Asians, Chinese, Korean, Filipino, Indian. Then you got some areas, Poland, Polish, and sub-Saharan, like everywhere. So I got an opportunity to kind of vibe with different people groups. So naturally, I'm going to be fair and have some reciprocity going on, listening to their music and cultures. And so it's a big influence with me musically. Musically really is my blueprint. So like a lot of times, even songs that I have done 10, 12 years ago stand to this day for me. Now it's about translating that feeling and experience and emotion into a current sound and delivering those messages. So that's kind of where I am on a musical tip right now.
That's a great response. Thank you, Julian.
Thank you.
Julian, what is it? This is a side question. What does it take to be part of your rap videos? I like the one video with the bar. I like that. I could see me sitting in the bar in the back next to you and the other guy.
Pull up, yeah. That's that was that pretty much my life. You know what I mean? Like that's what we would do. We would go to the club, and it's not a traditional like people who have videos in the club where it's just champagne pouring and popping bottles. It's a different. It's business for me. It's work and play for me. So VIP is my boardroom. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's what this new the album that I'm going to be releasing. Looking at the fall. It's called Work Hard, Play Hard. So I'm just basically
whole album.
Yeah.
Whole album? Wow.
Yeah. Taking my experiences in nightlife along with my business acumen and just my lifestyle, how it is. So it ain't nothing, it's what it is. So you really get to get some good inside look into the nightlife, like, from that perspective. Not just go to enjoy the entertainment, but some business behind it too.
That's incredible. Thank you, Julian. All right. So why is music important to humanity? Maybe a minute or less.
Music is important to humanity because it speaks. Like you can listen to, like we said before, you can listen to music from different parts of the world, never speak the language, but you feel it. It transcends, it crosses over through your barriers of what you know. The music, the sonics, the frequencies, the hertz, those are all the science behind it all. Like you can, have something, different frequencies playing, and it'll trigger certain emotions. That's why it's so important in filmmaking as well, as far as the score, where you're watching a scene and you're like, you feel anticipation and nervousness too, just because of the way the music is going. So, but when you have that and you mix it with the right visual aids to go along with it and the right lyrics, like the words, because it's all spells, it's all spelling. You understand what I'm saying? Spelling is spells. So when you're speaking certain words, they have certain frequencies and they connect with the human spirit, and it just helps you to get into a certain mood. I'll give you another example. If you're driving and you're playing something classical, something soothing, kind of drive more relaxed. You put on some
Yeah,
hip hop that's like very energetic and all over the place, or some metal or some rock, something crazy.
Yeah. Road rage.
Start speeding up, and all of a sudden you're doing 80. Like, how am I supposed to be doing 80 into 50? Like, that's how it works. So I believe it can work that way across the board. So
yeah, depending on the mood, you choose your weapon.
Right.
You want to go to the gym, you put all that crazy stuff on, right?
Right. Right. If you're doing yoga, that's one thing. But if you're going to lift mine, that's another. You can't play the same music. It doesn't work like that.
Thank you, Julian. All right, as an extension of that question, why are telling stories important to humanity? Maybe one minute or less.
Stories allow for you to connect with experiences, and experiences is where we hopefully learn. It can help you with your prediction or projections for the future, for the now. Being able to reference a story and reference some of the pitfalls and some of the positives as well. That's why stories are so crucial. Like, you got to, both in film, television, just telling orated story, or reading a story allows you to paint a picture, allows you to tap into other elements and components of this life that we're living.
Thank you, Julian. Great response. And to tie those questions together, what has more impact on the average person, music or stories?
What's
more powerful?
That's a tough one for me to answer, to be honest.
That's a tough question. I know. I'm putting you on
the spot. The music can drive the actual physiology, where the mentality or the stories you can create in your own mind by hearing stories. Like, you can place yourself in that situation, and then you reinforce it with the music. It allows the emotions to wrap it, so it becomes a wrap around. So they work synergetically together. That's why Hollywood is one of the largest and most influential industries, because you got both of those components going on, where it's both audio and visual, and it's amazing.
That's a brilliant response. Thank you, Julian. Okay, so we're going to pivot to your struggles real quick. So you mentioned a lot. We really did an extended version of your story today, but just if you could summarize in a minute or less, what has been some of your biggest struggles that you've overcome in your life? If you can just highlight maybe 2 or 3 or even one, just in compressing like a minute or less.
I would definitely, I don't want to call it an obstacle, but an experience was definitely last year with my health, learning how to create balance and design a lifestyle that I'm happy with, that I can continue on and not feel like it's, too much work. It was a minor struggle momentarily, only because when you know better, you should be doing better. And I wasn't doing better when I knew I should have, if that makes any sense, for years prior to last year. So that, struggle. I guess struggling within my own mind, like with wanting to always be of service and help, can't always help. That's one thing I struggle with. Like, 'cause my first initial reaction is to give of myself, even take opportunities I get and to try to pass them on. But sometimes you do that with people that aren't ready or aren't deserving of it. And so I struggle with it because I really want to see good for others. So sometimes I still have to, let me consult with my wife. Like, babe, this is a situation. What do you think? And then she'll give me her answer, and then I'll make a decision, based off of a few factors. So that's, I'm just being, those are my struggles. You know what I mean? I don't really, other stuff I try not, it doesn't really impact me like that too tough because of my mindset, I guess.
Julian, it's a brilliant response. I actually had the same problem, that last one you just mentioned. I was an educator for 20 years, just tell you a little about myself. I was a financial planner before I became a professor for 10 years. But most of the people that I helped were, lower income to middle income. I had 200 clients, but most of them couldn't afford a $50 a month IRA. So I would give my service. I'd sit there for a day, and I would take them out to lunch and take them out to dinner. And I'm getting like 5% of $50. And here I'm spending $150 just to make them my client. I'm trying to help them, hours of my time. And no wonder that business failed when 2008 happened. And then I became a professor, which was my natural course. And education. I mean, I've helped so many people become millionaires. And to this point where I'm at right now is because of what you just said, because I realized if I don't help myself, I can't help nobody else. And I have to become selfish to be selfless. And
Exactly.
It's for my survival reasons. So,
it's for your survival, your sanity, right? The survival of your peace of mind, the survival of so many different things, and learning, and just not even learning it because you learn, it's just embracing it. Once you embrace it, then everything can flow. And that's what I'm learning. Like, okay, let me put logistics and measures in place so that way, again, I'm not draining and pulling too much from me. And it can kind of survive on its own and be self-sustaining in itself. So that's what I had to learn. But absolutely, brother, I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, Julian. It's a blessing and a curse having a good heart. At the same time, it's like a double-edged sword. But you just got to know how to leverage it.
Right.
Thank you, Julian. Appreciate that. All right, Julian. So we're going to pivot real quick to Clubhouse, then we'll get into some template questions, and I think they'll be good. So what do you like about Clubhouse? A minute or less.
I like the network. I like the network of it. Now you got to do some filtering. You got to, do your due diligence on people and whatnot. But, you can connect with people. So like LinkedIn, get right to a person. This is what they do. Then you can go right in and listen, and you see the proposition value, the added value in a person. Then you take it a step further and whatnot. So I like the network. It allows. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so just as an extension of that, I think this would be a great question for you based on your experience. Ironically, nightclub, clubhouse. Have you observed any similarities between running a nightclub versus a club on Clubhouse? Now, I know you haven't really hosted a room on Clubhouse, but I'm sure that, being in the room, you've seen some things that relate to the physical setting. Now, Clubhouse is a virtual setting, but is there some dynamics that you see, like that similarities about the members of the club, things like that?
A little bit, yeah, where, it's all about mapping out, scheduling your events, knowing your security parameters again, because some of the rooms are cool, but sometimes they can get a little overwhelming because everybody it's a free for all. It's like, no, there needs to be some order. You just can't let the door open and everybody just come in and do what they want. That's not how this works. There needs to be protocols and things in place to where you want to ask them questions. There's certain people that are assigned to take your questions, and we can ask them on your behalf. That might be a thing, but everybody shouldn't be on an open mic, just spewing out their feelings. It's not that type of setting. Now, some of the rooms they do allow just whatever, and they sometimes they do well in their numbers, but what's the true impact though? What's the takeaway? So that's my thing.
Now, Julian, when you just came on Clubhouse, I believe, right? Recently, or
I came on in October.
October. Okay, so I think you would appreciate it a lot if you went back just January, February. I came on February last year, so I just sat there for 2 months and observed. And basically, between January and March, it was the extreme Wild West. You had about 5,000 people in any room that you were in at any time. And it was totally out of control. And it wasn't until like March when everyone was allowed to open their own clubs. They didn't have that before. So there was only some rooms. So the clubs that you're in, like there's like 4 or 5 major clubs in our space right now, the entrepreneurial space and the self-help space, business. There's only about 4 or 5 like major clubs, mine and Diamonds being one.
Right.
But the reason, what you see, I just want to give you a little background. What you see in my room, you see how I'm real strict with the moderating and all that. All this had a reason for it. Like I didn't start like that. I started moderating everybody else, and you'd have a room with 100 people in there as speakers, and they'd all have the mod badge, and people would be getting dropped from the stage. And then when I started bringing guest speakers in, and they dropped one of my guest speakers, I realized, wow, that's really going to impact my reputation. I have to control this room, and this is the way I do it. So when I have only about a handful of moderators in here, including the main speaker, there's a rationale for that. I got rules, unlike many other clubs. I actually follow the rules. Don't pitch in my room, like unless I tell you to, right? And going back to what you experienced in the physical setting, would you agree with me being a little bit controlling in that regard? Because look at the alternative. If I don't do that, look at the madhouse that can happen.
No, you definitely need to. You need to do that. Absolutely, keep doing it. Do more of it. I think everybody should. Honestly, that's just my opinion. I think everybody needs to be more manic about control. There needs to be again checks and balances, even in the clubhouse space. I know a lot of people don't have the opportunity to speak out in their day-to-day lives. They can't be vocal about things. They just got to go about it. And that clubhouse is their outlet to just talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Creating is just free for all. But other than that, it needs to be ran professionally, and I think people will get more out of it.
Especially on your last point, like some people can come and they'll just sit there for a half hour and talk. And now I got a room that it took me 6 hours to build to 200 plus people, and it just dropped down to 30 people in like 5 minutes. Yeah. And that was all my energy wasted. And going back to both of our problems, being too kind. So look, at what cost? I'm responsible for this whole club. So I actually, not only did I do bad for me, I did bad for everyone else I'm representing. Right. So, Thank you, Julian. Appreciate that. All right, Julian, why do you want to expand your real estate portfolio, especially to include hotels? Maybe 30 seconds.
All right. Number one, it helps to secure, your income, your revenue, your money that you make. At the end of the day, it's a numbers game. Number two, if you constantly have real estate and hotels, you always got somewhere to sleep. No matter what happens, you got somewhere to lay your head for a couple of nights to get your mind clear. Even if you can be able to extend that to being kind-hearted again, extend that to family, friends. Things happen, and sometimes people fall on hard times. I know. You know what I mean? And you just be able to provide something in an emergency to give somebody, breathing space. That's cool. Number three, really, it lends itself for other developers, other real estate developers, investors, entrepreneurs to be able to come on board and be a part of something that maybe they haven't been able to witness or see. I ain't gonna say never. But I didn't know that at this point I would be, a hotelier, like that. You know what I mean? Like, hell. And my wife said, babe, I want us to get into real estate and things like that. Cause my wife is a licensed general contractor.
Mm.
And so, she understands all the mechanics and things like that, and logistics. And so to want to get into the real estate, I'm like, well, all right, we can go after a duplex or something like that in my head, but I'm like, well, just go big. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't play with it. Like, we can do it. And so we've learned over the years how to ask the right questions to the right people, which gives us the right responses. And we see the impact of that. Like, it's major right now. And I'm just like, wow, let's scale. Let's go ahead and do it while we got the support. Again, it just creates more opportunities. Now, instead of, we're, a lounge, a club, now every location that we open, I got a number of lounges and clubs, and rooftop bars, and, hospitality. That's who I am. So I was going to go big.
That's a brilliant response. By the way, Julian, my background's in real estate in Philadelphia. I grew up carrying concrete bags when I was 7 years old. So I built a lot of houses on my own. And, if I could be of any help to you, that's actually where I've been most of my bread and butter for the past decade plus, was behind the scenes. They don't pay you much as a professor. I taught at 6 universities. You don't make much. But the real estate has really been the cat.
Absolutely. No, let's definitely have some behind the scenes conversations, sit down and break some bread and see what's going on.
Absolutely. Thank you, Julian. And best of luck, by the way, with the hotels. That's a really cool level you're playing at. So
thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
What lessons have you learned as an entrepreneur? Maybe 30 seconds or less.
Build a team. Build the right team. Don't try to do everything yourself. We'd be willing to give up, small points and percentages here. People, at the end of the day, people just want to feel a part of something. Like, I know a big apprehension that a lot of people have is, oh, well, it's so many people, I don't want nobody to steal my, it's not about stealing. Like, stop thinking like that, Just say, hey, do you have to own 100% of nothing? Or very little, versus putting people that love doing what they do, ask them to help you do what they do. Don't try to take them out of their role. They keep doing what they do best. And say, hey, listen, I need you to help. I need your help in this. I don't do what you do. I need what you do. How much is it going to take for you to do what you do for us? Build the right team. That's the biggest thing I've learned as an entrepreneur. Teamwork, collaborations, collective.
Find the right people. Find the right talent.
Right.
Like, if you got 10 people you just interviewed and 9 of them don't fit your school of thought, it's better to just take your losses and keep interviewing until you get that right person.
Exactly. Take that one.
Yeah.
And work from there.
You work from there. Yeah.
Keep adding on. Right.
Thank you, Julian. All right. Last question before the temple of questions. What advice would you give to bartenders on how to make more money and rise above being an employee? You were a bartender, right? Or a bouncer? I know you're a bouncer, but you're a bartender.
I bartended. Okay. I did a little bit of it all. So I would take the same approach as I, did as a bouncer. And that is, on your slow nights. I know every night you can't. Like, on your busy nights, you're banging out drinks. But on slower nights, use that time to network with people that come. Be friendly. Don't just look at them as tips, things like that. Actually see who's who. Because at the end of the day, those are your clients. Not just customers, clients. So same thing. Just learn how you can be of service to others. It's a service industry. So learn how to serve in multiple capacities, facets. So that way, you can find yourself in another, you get private functions that someone might want to book you for. You can create, again, you can leverage deals. You can be the middle. You can middleman yourself, or middle person yourself. I'll say.
Yeah.
With deals, just you know what, I know somebody. Let me give me a second. Give me a day. And
that
then
could be a good. Sorry to interrupt you. That could be a good backdrop to your next movie. By the way, I'd be happy to be in it. No, sorry, song. The guy sitting at the one end of the bar, and you're the bartender, and you hear him say, "Yeah, I'm looking for this real estate deal," and you just let him talk, and then you go on the other scene is you go to the other side of the bar, and you hear the other guy, "Oh man, I'm looking to buy this property from somebody," you know,
right,
and
right.
and then you walk to the other bar, and you're like, "Hey, I know this guy," and they're still sitting at the same bar.
Right, exactly. But that's the mentality. That's the mindset that, you know, I come out of. Like, that's exactly it. It's just switching it from the bouncer to the bartender. It don't matter. Like, anybody in that type of service or industry, it's not even just that. You can be the shoe shiner and come up, because most people who get their shoe shines are business people. So they're on the phones, they're talking, they're doing it. You're just hearing information all day. It's what you do with it. You know, so start taking notes and try to be a person of servitude. That will help you project and leverage forward.
Folks, this is brilliant information for all my finance students out there. Folks, what Julian has said, there's so much gold in that. There's so much gold. It doesn't matter what job you have. Be proud of it and just use it as a leveraging tool to get to what you want to do in life.
Right.
And just by using your ears, which is so invaluable, you can exponentially turn that into gold. Thank you, Julian. Right. Appreciate that. We're going to get into some tempo questions, and we're going to wrap it up. These should be about 30 seconds each, and I think we'll be good. A very easy question. Can one book change the world?
Sure. Yeah, it can. It can spark the imagination. One book can literally spark someone's innovation and imagination to take the next step to add their part. Because no one person is going to can change it. But it will take a collective. But in order for that to happen, you got to have a chain of event, chain of reaction. And so one book can kick off a chain reaction like dominoes.
Beautiful. Thank you, Julian. What role has networking played in your life? 30 seconds.
That's my life. My whole life has been networking. Like, literally, that's how if you stay in a box, sometimes you know, when things change, what are you going to do if you don't know how to pivot and change and adjust? And so networking allows you to open up your sphere and circle of influence and friends, so that way you can learn something, you know? So, yeah, everything.
Julian, I trust you with this question. So I grew up in South Philly, you know, four grandparents, they all died broke, you know, relatively poor. And we had a little more money during my teens than other people in the neighborhood, but bottom line was we were still middle to lower income. Right. We lived in a 3-story house, so that made us a little bit wealthier than everybody else. But the point I'm trying to make was growing up with that mindset. You got the next Michael Jackson, he's standing on the corner. He's full of talent. But until somebody knows who that person is, he's going to stay there the rest of his life. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I agree. I agree to a degree. Because again, it depends on what you're doing. You know, it depends on what it's on that person. Yeah. Like, someone has to, I believe someone does have to be there to assist. Like, you need help.
Again, yeah, somebody's got to come into this guy's life at some point to get him
at some point. You know, it's on, but on that person, they can do a lot. I was told once years ago, do everything that you can possibly do, not worrying about the money. Plenty of money. Money is attracted to things that's going to make more of it, right? So do everything you can do up until the point where do everything you can do until money has to come into place, because that's when money comes into play.
Right.
When you've done everything else, do all the other work. Make sure you're trained. If you're on the corner dancing, go get in front of the mirror, go to a class, go do this, get into a competition, do what you got to do. Show, go dance for an organization. If you can present well enough, they may have a special event, they need a presentation. Go show yourself off in the right way. So It's just my 2 cents.
That's beautiful. It's brilliant. Thank you, Julian.
Thank you.
All right, Julian, what are your favorite financial books? Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one. I'm sorry. Is mentoring important? And who are some of your mentors?
Yeah, mentoring is definitely big. Some of my mentors are actually on my team. As far as helping me to understand more about business and structuring and, putting together the proper operating agreements, putting together the proper, performer the right way. I didn't know all of that stuff, knowing who to ask what from in municipalities and localities. These are all, individuals that I had to attract into my life, but in order to do that, I got to know what I'm looking for. So, and then being able to being a mentor, find someone to mentor, like not being afraid of that, because that helps keep you sharp too, because everybody has an innovative mind at some point, and someone may be innovative enough to ask the right question, but you know what? That's a good damn question. Let me go find the answer myself. So mentoring is huge, both receiving and giving.
Thank you, Julian. Appreciate that. What are your favorite financial books? Maybe 1 to 3. Wow. And if not financial, I believe, let me preface that finance is really the master subject. A lot of the sub-subjects from marketing to accounting, even business, they all, my school of thought is that they fall under finance. So any business books or money books, like what's your favorite ones?
A long time ago, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I read the Prophecy, and I found it, but that was some years ago. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think I've read a financial or even a business book in years. I've been so out there just doing business.
Yeah, you're on the field.
You know what I mean? I'm learning. I learn as I go. So I probably need to just take all the notes that I've made and just make a book. But no, it's the practice for me. It's the practice. Because even in sports, like you can watch plays and go through the playbook, but unless you get out there and do it, that's the key, doing it. And that's what's going to teach you your strengths and weaknesses of what you can do and then where you need to make your adjustments. So.
Brilliant. Thank you, Julian. Sure. Do we need money to survive?
You need exchange of currency.
In modern civilization.
In modern civilization, you need exchange of currency.
Yeah.
So whether that's your energy, and if you can use your energy to, again, provide service or actions or whatever, you can get things in exchange for that, that to help you survive. It's all how you look at it. If you're looking strictly on the fiat currency or even the crypto, and whatnot, that space, I believe it will help take care of bills. But if you don't know anything about yourself, are you really surviving?
Great point. Well, one step further, is finance necessary for everyone? Now, finance being the science of all this, the science of money and wealth and all that stuff. I have a specific definition, but that's basically it.
Right. I think finance as a whole is important because it helps us to comprehend checks and balances, risk mitigation, securities, what's a commodity, human capital. So the concept of finance as a whole is very very intuitive to me and interesting. Like it's really, once you start learning how the words all play together, you know. So just the concept, but you know, as far as money itself, yeah, I mean, it's a real thing. It attracts. It literally attracts a real entity. So
you need it though, right? You need finance.
you need it. You
Now
need it.
you have a unique situation. You grew up, you were an entrepreneur most of your life, but the average person, and a successful entrepreneur, the average person may not understand even a majority of what you know. So how do you position this question towards them?
If you squander your money, well, you get a paycheck. You work a job and you get a paycheck, and you go and spend it on whatever, and you know you got bills. You know you got to feed yourself. You got a kid. You got like there's a science to that. Like, and the science is I spend less on this, spend it over here. Now these areas of my life will at least be sustained. Like, so now just 10x your own mindset of, okay, how do I go about keep doing more of what I do, or make it what I do scalable, or how can I grow what I do so I can make more by doing what I love to do? Find what you love about it. That's going to give you the energy, the passion behind what you do to get you in the right situation where you can make more and just work from there. Just because you get more don't mean you got to spend more.
Brilliant. Thank you, Julian. We got 3 questions left. How important is having a purpose in business? And what actually that's wrapped in the second question. What is your purpose? So how important is having a purpose in business, and what is your purpose?
The whole purpose for business is so you can create legacy. That should be your purpose, you know, for your children, for your family, or even if you don't have children, that's fine. For your family, for your friends. So that way you're not worried later. You want to be able to help out your parents, things like that, or, you know, whatever. Purpose, it has to serve someone. Like the greatest businesses solve issues. We know that already. You know, most successful, they solve problems, day-to-day, daily issues. So if you're just out there loosely just doing business just because somebody else is doing it and your heart ain't into it, people are going to see through it. Especially this day and age with, I'm going to say it is what it is. With cancel culture and people feeling like you're not authentic, they're going to call you out on it. So you better have a purpose for why you're doing what you're doing. You're going to get called out and get canceled, and now you ain't going to make no money. Then what you going to do? Come work for me and Dr. Finance?
I love it. What would you say is your purpose, though? Like if you had to define your purpose in one sentence.
To create more opportunities. You know, dig through the red tape to get to the resources and the answers. So now that way we can repackage it and represent it to those that don't know the information. And then what they do with it, that's on them. Because like we said, we can't do it for them. You know, we can only present the info. They take the necessary action steps. They may find some success as well. That's my purpose.
That's great. Thank you, Julian. So, but just to clarify, people who have businesses, they should have a purpose because it's that important. Like you open up a mom and pop store in the corner, or you open up any kind of store, just a regular person, business, small business. They should have a purpose to that, no matter what they're selling, whether it's milk or candy or whatever,
Right.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Julian, what would you like to accomplish in the next 10 years or so?
Ooh. Oh, man. Well, to have, number one, have at least 100 of our hotels up and running. Yeah, I know it seems like a lot, but it's really not when you
No, it's great. It's great that you're reaching that high.
Level, definitely attain that. Just want to be completely living my lifestyle on the grandest scale that I can to keep being some type of model or whatnot for others to be able to see. You know, hopefully there's a lot more people that see what we do and say, hey, listen, and continue to inspire them that they go off and do the greatness they got to do. Like, but the only way to do that, at least from where I'm at right now, is by exemplifying what it is that I want. Everything, whether it's in music, whether it's in films, whether it's in real estate development, whether it doesn't matter. I want to just be the best that I can be, learn the most I can learn, and just set up systems in place that whether if I'm doing it, whether if I'm here or not, it doesn't matter. It's still going.
Out of all these things that you're doing, I mean, you are doing a lot of incredible stuff, but what would you say is your focus? Like the one thing, like, is it music? Is it acting? Is there one that you would put at a higher level than all the rest? No.
Me, working on me. Like, I know that sounds so cliche and crazy, but being happy with me, like, you know, I want to do my music. You know, whether if I climb the Billboard charts or not, I love doing my music. I want to be able to make the best music possible. I want to make the best film, to be the best performer on projects that I can be to, you know, get the story across. I want to be the best that I can be as a hotelier. You know, I want to provide the best service. So in order to do that, it's me. Me. I can't. I especially the type of person I am, like being I don't know, zodiac people, some people, but being me, the two of me at minimum, I can't drop anything. Not like that. Like, they all feed into each other. Like, it's become this hybrid. So you take a piece away, what's left?
That's an amazing way to look at it. I like it. Thank you, Julian. I'm rooting for you.
Thank you. It's a lot, but thank you.
Hey, that's a great response. So last question, what would you like to be your legacy to this world? Why are you doing everything you're doing? What's the end result when you're not here one day? How do you want the world to have known your presence on this planet, this universe?
That guy didn't give a damn. He didn't let nothing get him stop him. I want people to know that I want to say this. I used to say, well, you know what, if I can do it, you can do that. That's BS. So I want you to find your purposes and go do that, because there are certain intangibles that I may have. There's certain intangibles that Dr. Finance has. There's certain intangibles that everybody has that you can't really explain or that you can't quantify per se, but it makes you who you are. But in order to know how to use that, you've got to tap into you to do that. So I'm not going to tell everybody you can do what I do, because I'd be lying, giving false hope. Like, there's a lot of things about me that, you know, it is what it is that other people just don't have. I get it. People have their own version of what they do, but I know I'm unique. It is what it is. So, but I will say the legacy is find that, because I did the work. I've done the digging. When they say till the ground and work the ground, that's what that means. Discover who you are and do that at the highest level you can. Connect with your highest version of yourself. So that's the legacy I want to leave. Like, that's what I'm doing. I'm working in that space. And I feel like if other people tap into that thing, the world could be better, because everybody just be happy in themselves and in their own truths and authenticities.
So to summarize, you would say that your legacy is to help others discover themselves.
Yeah.
Their purpose.
Absolutely.
That's one of my qualities. I help simplify things.
Good. Good.
Reduce complex sentences to.
Exactly, because I'm a storyteller. I'm a creator, so I'm gonna tap into that place and explore. You know what I mean? And that's why I got the team around me that I had to assemble that team to help break my macro down to smaller bites that industry leaders, workforce development people, city leaders, people in government, whatever, legislation, people that we do real deals with, right?
Yeah.
That they can understand, they can comprehend, and it's real easy for them. So that's good. It's very strong quality that you got.
Thank you, Julian. Well, Julian, I just want to say I appreciate you being here, man, and love hanging out with you in Clubhouse too all the time. And folks, if you're, I don't have my calendar, Clubhouse calendar here, but Julian will be there, I believe, the first Friday of May. Julian, do you know off the top of your head? So let's see. I believe it's May 6th.
Yeah.
May 6th. So Julian's going to be the guest speaker in Clubhouse between 7 and 9 p.m. Eastern time in the Finance Club. So definitely check that out. The room starts about 6, about an hour before. He comes on at about 5 or 7. It'll be there to start about around roughly 7. And the room will be going for about 6 hours, but Julian's main window is between 7 and 9. So definitely check that out. And Julian, I want to thank you again, man, for being here. I appreciate you. And, I noticed this went a little bit longer, but you just got some great content, man. So I figured I'd just let it roll, and I appreciate it. I think it's really, really, really great story. A lot of great information that you've added, and you're a successful entrepreneur and have a lot of lessons to teach. So Julian, I want to leave the floor to you before we close out. Anything you want to say, websites you want to share, totally your call. Julian, floor is yours.
No, first of all, I appreciate, again, this time to be able to share and just talk with you and whatnot. I just say, everybody, want to learn more about what we got going on, because there's so many different things that I wasn't even able to talk about in detail because of timing, press releases, and things like that. But pay attention. Like, you can go to Julian Brittano on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, find me on Clubhouse, julianbrittano.com. I don't have Facebook anymore because I was hacked back in February.
Wow. I was looking for you. What happened?
I didn't sign back up because it was an ordeal. And I'm like, you guys let this happen? Like, how somebody do this? I had to change up so much stuff. But anyway, not to go too deep into that. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. But yeah, you can check me out. You just Google my name, and you'll get to see. I don't hide it. Everything's what it is. It's good. It's positive. It's progressive. So stay tuned. What we got, like I said, over the next week. So we got a couple major announcements coming out. It's happy to share.
Hey, sorry to interrupt you. Can we make those announcements on Clubhouse? I want to do it in my room.
Yeah, because by then, they'll be out.
First time heard right there.
Yep.
That'd be awesome. Thank you, Julian. Anything else you want to share before we close out?
No, just I enjoyed the time again, and just being able to have a conversation. There's no false pretenses, no nothing. Just being able to be, open and clear on your platform, your audience. I know they get a lot of value from the guests. I just hope that I was able to add some value as well.
Well, I know for sure you are. You're exactly the kind of guest that I want. Someone who's as successful entrepreneurship and also matches the great heart part. I always add that to my component for selecting people. So, well, thank you, Julian. I appreciate you being here again. And folks, you've been watching the Dr. Finance Live podcast. This is Dr. Anthony, Criniti IV, also known as Dr. Finance. Check out my website, drfinance.info. I also I'm going to put all this podcast stuff on the podcast page. Okay. So there's a lot of episodes. Definitely check them all out. Give them a like, follow, subscribe. And again, Julian Brittano, go check out his website as well. And then we have also, I want to let you guys know, so I got 3 major books, folks. I got The Necessity of Finance. I wrote that over 10 years ago for my students. Okay, so I wrote that for my students about 10 years ago. And then my sequel after that was The Most Important Lessons in Economics and Finance. And finally, my last book, The Survival of the Rich, is about 500+ page book, which led to all my conclusions, which started from the first book. So folks, paying attention to details, just like in business, can also apply to other parts of life. That's how I came upon the conclusions that I did, that 250 years of writings on these topics, they weren't able to figure out because I was looking at the details. That's the details that you got to look at for your own business to make it successful. Pay attention to things that Julian talked about today. A lot of small details, folks. Observing the right quality talent, especially as employees, as Julian mentioned, is extremely important. So with that said, folks, follow, like, and subscribe. And thank you again for being here. Thank you, Julian. Appreciate you. If you want to hang out in the green room in just a second, I just want to walk you out. Other than that, folks, thanks. I'll see you again on the next episode. Bye-bye now.